just went off and it's actually perfect timing. We're not going to turn that back on. I hope you all are doing wonderful today. Today we had a 2 hour delay for me to take the kids. So I was like, oh, if I get on here, I don't know if I'm going to have time. But hey, we're here. All right, so today I want to talk to you a little bit about my propagation bin. So this is a bin that has a whole lot of cuttings in it, probably well over a year to almost 2 years. I haven't taken anything out of here. So some grow how they want to grow, some don't. But I bought this bin from Home Depot. Now you can get bigger bins, flatter bins, or whatever bins. But one thing that I would recommend to you if you do get the bins is to make sure it has a clear top. And the reason why you want to make sure it has a clear top is so that way light can filter through it. I do have a bin that has a red top over it. And since I put the plants inside of there, I haven't noticed like a huge amount of growth. But I also feel like the light that goes on top of it, since it's not going through, that's preventing it from being able to grow as fast as it could. So definitely get you a lid that you can that's clear, so that way the light can shine through. Good morning. How you doing, Gigi? Next thing, what you want to do is get you some sphagnum moss. Now, at the time when I was buying sphagnum moss, I didn't know it was a clean sphagnum moss and a dirty sphagnum moss. What's going on, Seymours? I didn't know it was a clean sphagnum moss and a dirty sphagnum moss, but there are. The new one, or the one that I should be recommending to you to get, I don't know the exact name of it. I said I was going to learn it, but it has a purple on the outside. It's clear with purple and it says sphagnum moss. It's supposed to be very clean, and you want to use clean so it doesn't have any like dirt, pesticides, all of that in there when you're growing your plants. I didn't know anything about it, and I'm still going to finish using the rest of this before I go and purchase a new one. But if you don't have sphagnum moss, that's a good one to start with. But if you're just being thrifty and you don't really care about all of that, then this is a good kind to get from Home Depot. So let's get into what we have inside of this prop bin though. Let's open this on up. Now, again, this is the prop bin that I've had for almost 2 years. I know for a fact, for sure, I started at springtime last year. I felt like it could have been a year and a half ago, but let's just go with it. Let's just say a year. Prop bins do pretty good. Let me show you. Now, if you want to ask what do I have all inside of here, that's a good question. Half of it I don't know, but the part I do know, I'll let you know. Of course, right off the bat, we had a philodendron heartleaf. Now, for full disclosure, when you put the humidity dome over top of this, you can expect when you go back to it 2-3 months later, because that's usually about how long it takes before it needs to dry out. I only water this say like once every 8 weeks, if that. It holds its humidity, it holds its moisture in because the lid over top of it. The plants do absolutely fine, and you don't have to worry about a lot of root rot. Now, on occasion, you will open up this bin and you will have some plants that are yellowing, you will have some plants that are brown, some that have just rotted all the way. But it's not for all of them, okay? So you'll be all right. So inside of here, what do I have? I have a philodendron heartleaf. I have a, I believe this is a marble queen or snow queen. They get mixed up in between. I have a enjoy over here. As you can see, a couple of them actually, all throughout here. These were just cuttings that I normally would have just thrown away and put into the trash. But I was like, you know what? I'll grow some plants out of here. And I could just take one of these cuttings, put into a pot, and grow a whole new plant from it. Now, if I just put one piece of a cutting in there, it's only going to grow one trailing vine. And then I would have to cut that plant several times in order to fill that pot up. But I can also take a lot of these and do it. Now, I will say that I have no space to be taking these out, putting them into pots and go. So when it's Teacher Appreciation Week for the kids, I will be pulling these out, putting them into some soil, and giving them away to the teachers. I also have, I'm going to put this down, it's a little heavy. I also have a philodendron right here, painted lady that's inside of here. And it's actually time for her to go. You can kind of see this. Let's see here, we can move. You can see the color of the stem. That's a little pink. That's how I'm able to recognize. Here we go. Yeah. No, turn here. We can see. Can we see? Can we see? No? Okay. Well, anyway, this is the painted lady right here. The leaf's a little bit different. I could tell because it's long. It has a pink down. Now, actually, let me tell you something. I actually had a mealybug outbreak inside of here for Some of the plants are already new cuttings. When I put in there, it had some mealy bugs, and I was like, I'll just treat it. Worked perfectly fine. I just sprayed some alcohol over top of it, and it did perfectly fine. That was way before I knew if alcohol worked or not. I just tried it as an experiment. I heard about it. This was last year. And then I heard you could just spray them down with water, wipe your plants all the way down with water really good. Make sure you don't see any, and you'll be all right. I don't fully trust just the water method, but if the water method works for you, keep on doing it. Let's see what else do I have in here. I want to say that's about it. I do have some scadapsis in here. As you can tell, when they're young and little in here, they do all right, but now I'm starting to see them curl up a little bit. So it's probably about time for me to get ready to get these out of here. Mind you too, this bin, yesterday I went to pull it down just because I was doing some sweeping. Room looked like a bomb went through. Kids been out of school for the past 2 weeks because of the weather, so I haven't had as much time to get in here. I just walk in here, water the plants. I hop on here for live, we do a little bit of work, 30 minutes of work, and then I walk out. But as far as like keeping it clean, keeping it maintained, I haven't been in here that much to be able to sit back, relax, and actually catch a vibe. So I finally got a little bit of time yesterday to be able to come in here. When I opened up the lid, it was bone dry. And I was like, oh, I have not watered for a while. So some of these plants are still a little bit curled from being dried out. And some of them, of course, are waking up. That's what I love about trailing plants. Pothos and philodendrons, you give it a little bit of water, a little bit of care, wake it up from the dead. It's good to go. Now, you don't have to have a bin this big. You can have a small one. I'll show you one that I have as well. And you can buy these. Again, you can buy these from Home Depot, Lowe's, or probably get them from Walmart, Target, whatever it is. This bin right here, I want to say was like $2 though. What I have inside of here right now are wet sticks. You remember when we took that Monstera Lectium from over there and about 2 other plants? One plant from the Lectium that I cut and I put into a pot and I thought I was going to be able to grow from it. It died. It did not make it. So luckily enough, I did have some wet sticks and I feel comfortable with it. I will say I get in here sometimes, and this isn't the Monstera Lectium, by the way, but I'll get in here sometimes and I'll see this going on. And that's perfectly normal. It's just gonna make it? Probably not. But if you put about 30 cuttings in here, 30 wet sticks in here, you can expect to lose anywhere between 5 to 10 of them, unless you're just that nice. Me, usually on the average, I'll lose some. So I try to get wet sticks. If I can cut from a plant, get about 4 of them. That way I know I'll at least get 2 plants from it. And if I get a third and a fourth, that's even better. I just take it and throw it away. It's gonna be no good. Now, let me also show you the philodendron gloriousum that I put in here. I was talking about when we first got in here, talked about having clear lids so that way the grow lights can shine through here or the window. Now, if you get one that does not have a top lid, then you do start to run into a few issues because the light can't get to the top of it. Now, inside of here is my philodendron gloriosum cuttings. And as you can see, they're waking up, growing pretty big. Remember, this was nothing but wet sticks in here. This, ooh-wee, they're beautiful. I didn't even notice they got this big. That is beautiful, wow. And you could tell that it's time for this to come out the container because clearly when I pushed it down, it's in here. So we're gonna have to pull that one on out. And we're gonna go ahead and do that now. So we don't forget. What we got going on here? Looks like 2 roots growing together. I have never seen that before. Oh, there we go. All right, so now we're gonna take this one out. As you can see, this is ready. I can put this into some soil and we're gonna be good to go. Clean around here, formed a good root system. And these are the rest that we have in here. Now, as far as height, why I bought this bin was because it was perfect as far as height. I didn't have to worry about the plant getting caught all the way up to the top. I used to have it in the bin that we had previous, but it was just too short. So that's why I bought the new one. But now the new one doesn't carry the light in here, which is okay. We're gonna go ahead and take this out and get this into a big place. Let's see here. I could just knock this soil right on in here. Now with a philodendron gloriosum, it is a philodendron and it is a tropical house plant, so we already know that this type of soil that it's going to need for this one particularly is a nice chunky airy mix. Philodendron gloriosums, I noticed is this right here. They do not like to dry out completely, okay? Do not allow this plant to dry out completely. If so, you will start to see some yellowing in the leaves, and you will see them start to sag. And it'll also slow their growth down. So keep them not soggy. I'm not going to say moist to the touch, but let's just say if you water your plants every 5 days, that's when you want to water every 4 days, okay? Now, when it comes to choosing your pot, you do need to be careful. Now, you just have to get in there and experiment if you want me to be truthful about it. I don't know exactly what pot a plant needs just from looking at it. I can't look at this and be like, you know what, I'm gonna put it in the 4-inch because it may not work. Now, in this instance, it may work. And you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna cut this part down so that way I can be able to put that inside of here. Because this pot is definitely, if I go any larger with the pot, I'm gonna deal with root rot. I almost wanna go with this little bitty small one if I can cut it. Let's see here. You all get to witness this goes down. Now, what I want to make sure I do when I cut this plant, I don't want to cut any of these roots because that's going to slow down growth. So it's okay for me to cut something that no roots are coming from, okay? Let's take a look and let's see if this is, and there we go. All right, so now we're going to use our nice chunky airy mix that I'm always talking about. Let's grab some. I'm going to put the lid over top of here because we are actually out of this mix, so we're going to make one right now. Let's move this and these. Now, when it comes to our philodendrons, our monsteras, we use a mix called Android mix. And basically that just means a mix that's going to be able to dry out. You know what I mean? Pretty fast. Plants hold moisture inside the house depending on how much water you give them and placement. One thing that people severely underestimate when it comes to the plant is lighting. Lighting plays a huge factor. Lighting helps your plant to be able to photosynthesize, and it also helps the soil to be able to dry out quicker and faster, which means you're going to be able to have some strong roots that's going to build and a faster plant to grow. Do you have special plants? The 5 special you mean like rare plants? I wouldn't say I have any type of rare plants. I do have plants that you just can't walk into the store and purchase. You will have to see them online unless it's like a special sale going on. I don't really buy a whole lot of special plants because that usually costs a special price. And for right now, I have a lot of things that I'm trying to do this year, and I don't want anything that's going to require a lot of extra help or a lot of money to take care of. I do have a few plants that do need to be in a greenhouse. Well, I shouldn't say they have to be in there, they don't, but I do have a couple of plants. A Venus flytrap? No, I do not have a Venus flytrap. They're actually pretty daggone cool. I just don't have them. So, I bought this bin right here from, I don't know, Home Depot, Lowe's, those are my go-to stores, about 5 years ago, okay? Bin is still sturdy, and it gets the job done. Now, if you was on my live yesterday, then you know that I talked a little bit about LECA, and LECA being very important when, LECA, to me, I've been seeing to be very important when it comes to having a nice chunky mix. It helps a whole lot more with the water drainage. Now, I have seen people take water and rinse these out. I don't rinse dirt out, so I don't see why I have to rinse out something I'm going to use for the plant. So I'm not going to do it. If it ruins the outcome, then I'll know next time. But for right now, we're going to run with it. Next is going to be our pot tropical. Well, this one isn't the tropical. This is our indoor pot mix. This one has perlite inside of here. Now, what I like to do, unless I'm doing a full monstera repot or a lot of repots, and I know that these plants are going to require a little bit more moisture retention, then I usually go with this one right here that I recommend a whole lot. My tropical pot mix. But just to have one on hand at all time that works good for any and all plants, this is something that I like to use. So we're putting the leca balls in there. We want to make sure we have something airy. Now you can still use your perlite. I still plan on using that. And you can still use your orchid bark. I still plan on using that. You also can use your horticultural charcoal. That matters as well. This right here has been known to help fight against pests. What kind, I don't know, but everybody uses it in a mix. Plants do fine, so I'm just going to use mine. And we talked a little bit about orchid bark yesterday as well, if you was able to catch it here. There are two types of orchid barks that I see a whole lot of. Before I pour in here, I want to make sure you see it. Let's explain. So we have our orchid bark right here, our standard one that we usually go and buy. And this chunks right here, the orchid bark is pretty thin. Versus the orchid bark that's inside of this one right here is chunky. I'll show you. Chunky. See how chunky that is? So that plays a lot into how much moisture your plant is going to be able to keep in. If you need a plant that's going to retain a lot more moisture, I would recommend, hey, go with these thin ones right here. But if you don't want to buy a whole lot of different bags, variety, you just want to stick with one that's going to work, I would definitely move to this. This is something new that I recently just seen. I didn't start off seeing it. If so, I'm pretty sure I would have grabbed it. It's another, I think Better Grow, before they did this one, they had another type of orchid mix that I used to buy that had the chunks in it. Or it was just orchid bark mix, one or the other. Either way. So we have our indoor pot mix, and you're going to see me put this inside of here. I like to use a third. Now, since I'm using leca, we probably go with 4 or I, whatever I want to do. But we got the leca in there, so I'm going to go ahead and put some soil in here. And if I need more, I'll just pour more in there. Next, we're going to go with our orchid bark. And this orchid bark right here actually has perlite in here, which is a plus. That means I don't have to put my own perlite that I buy, because the perlite, this right here, take a look at this. Is this the perlite? Look at the size of that perlite, guys. That's pretty damn good, okay? The perlite that usually comes in our airy mix, straight out the bag. That was a little dirty. We're not going to be able to see it. That's just how thin they are, though. Look at the size of that perlite. Look how small that is in comparison to this perlite, okay? You can't beat that. Straight out the bag, $7. I won't even need to add in my big chunky perlite that I usually buy off Amazon, which means that this $7 bag is gonna pay off. It's just gonna pay off. That's what I'm gonna say. So we're gonna put that in here. Now, depending on how many repots you plan on doing, how many plants you go through, that's going to determine how much soil to make. Now, I like to go and buy my different bags of soil. I don't like to buy a big pre-mix bag. There's nothing wrong with a pre-mix bag, and if you get a pre-mix bag that has the exact ingredients that your plant need, I applaud you, but it usually costs a lot. And to get a pre-bag for the size plants that I need, I'm looking anywhere between $60 to $80. And that's not even gonna get me a big bag. That's just gonna get me through, you know, me stretching it. And probably not needing a whole lot of it for each plant and using the mix that I already have. But if you starting from scratch, or you have a whole lot of plants, I would definitely recommend you just go and buy these two right here. Boom. You put these two together, you're going to have this mix right here that you see me doing. And I'm adding the leca in. And to be frank, I don't even think I need the leca, but the fact that I bought the leca, I'm going to use it. Mix. I love this little lid. Cups keeps it in. And here we go. Let's take a look here and see what we have going on. See this right here? This is a pretty good mix. Now, I could make it a little bit clunkier, and I think I am. But that mix would have been perfectly fine, especially if I was doing my monsteras that's going to hold a little bit more moisture. I think, too, it's more of an eye thing. I'm used to having my perlite in here, the big chunks by itself, and I see a whole lot of white in here, and since I don't, I'm like, oh, it's not airy enough. Look at that right there, guys. That is a nice chunky area mix that's guaranteed to work for all of your plants. Lecca, perlite, doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what you're using to make your mix chunky. What matters is that you're breaking it up from just being a pile of dirt. We know when you water just nothing but soil, if you take that soil straight out the bag and you water it, you're gonna have it look like mud inside your pot, and you're gonna deal with things like root rot. And that's not something that you want to deal with. Why stress yourself out with it? Now, I will say this: if you are new to using a chunky mix, monitor it, because your mix will dry out pretty fast and your plants could potentially turn yellow fast and die as well. So just kind of keep that in mind. If you're a person that's been using a mix straight out the bag, hasn't had a lot of aeration inside of it, and you're used to watering and so forth, when you do a chunky mix, it completely changes everything. I used to use just a mix straight out the bag, just that Miracle Grow out the bag. And I used to get perlite. Now, I'm not going to say I didn't buy the little small perlite that came with it, but that real small perlite, it's okay, but it's not the best. It's optimal and you can make it work, but if you got something better to use, I would recommend you do it. But once I took my plants out of that mix that was used to being just very condensed without a lot of aeration inside of it and put it into something that could flow with air, I didn't know what was going on. I saw my plants and they was not looking too good. They just leaning. I'm just like, I got the right soil in here. What's going on? And it was because I was still using my same watering cycle. Water my plants once every two weeks, basically. And when you move to an aeration mix, that stuff changes. I went from watering my plants once every 2 weeks to having to water my plants, one of them once every 3 to 4 days. You know what I mean? So I didn't know what was going on with my plants because they was drying out fast because the soil was doing what it was supposed to do. And that's what you want. All right, so here we are. I need to find what I did with the plant now. Oh, it's right here. So now I am going to use this little bitty pot right here. This is a 2-inch pot. This right here is a 4-inch pot. Okay, let me show you the difference between the two. This right here, look at this. We're going to put that in here just like this. This is going to do pretty daggone good, right? Look what happens if I just don't care. All I have is this 4-inch, and I drop this inside of here. So now I will have to pick this up, and because it's clear, you can see it pretty good. It will have all the soil that I put inside here at the bottom. That's what, every time I water this plant, that's how much soil it will have to go through in order for the roots and the plant to grow healthy. And that's how we get root rots, if the space is just too daggone big, okay? So let's go with something kind of small. Plants don't mind being confined in a small place unless you just have that one in the very few rare plants that just want something completely open, okay? The tighter the root system is, the better the plant grows. Now, I've talked about it before, but I just want to share with you again. There is a difference between a root-bound plant and a plant that just have a lot of roots, okay? Now, a plant that has a lot of roots, as long as it does have soil inside the bottom of that plant, at the bottom of that pot, and it might have a few little roots that come out the bottom of that pot. Don't mind that. As long as when you get ready to do your inspection, you put your finger into there, you see that it is soil, you feel that it's soil for the plant to be able to grow around, then you're doing all right. If you stick your finger in the pot and it's very hard and you know for a fact that that's roots and it's all around, my bit of advice, I would pick that plant up, take a look at it, and just see. If this looks completely just root, you barely see any type of soil, it's time for a repot. If you pick it up and you see a lot of soil around there, but you just see some roots that just so happen to grow up or to be growing down, you can adjust your plant. You can repot a plant and not change the pot out, okay? All you doing is just raising the plant on up, adjusting it inside the pot, and giving it a better environment. That's it. It may not need more space. Sometimes we just put the plant in wrong. You know, we put the plant in a little too deep, maybe put it in a little too crooked to the left or to the right, and so it start growing like that. Just go in there and adjust it, all right? And you repot your plant as many times as you need to. Now, I wouldn't recommend you repot that same plant 3 times if you get it wrong in the same week. Give it a little bit of time to space out, but adjust that plant, it'll be fine. So, this is what we're gonna do. First things first, you wanna make sure that you put a little bit of soil down here at the bottom. Now, since this pot is pretty small, I can't put as much soil as I want to, but you wanna make sure you at least plant your plant halfway at the pot, okay? Now what we're gonna do, I'm gonna take my time, put this right here. Sometimes you gotta take some soil out. If the top of the plant was sticking out the top, don't be prideful. adjust that plant, it'll be fine. Now, take a look here. You see how I have this plant placed? Doing perfectly fine. Now, a little bit of information about this plant though. Philodendron gloriorum is known as a crawler. Does anybody know what a crawler is? I didn't know what a crawler was, so I'll tell you. A crawler is a plant that usually grows along the top of the soil. They're not a plant that's going to grow up, but a plant that's going to grow to the left or to the right. That's why you see plants, we have them in those elongated pots. Like a pot like this, if this was a pot, this is what this plant will prefer to be into when it gets a lot bigger. And it will grow across and not so much as up. The only thing that's going to grow up is a leaf. Let's put our soil in here. Now I'm picking this up a little bit because I just want to make sure I'm able to get a little bit of soil down here at the bottom. But I'm going to adjust it so that it's perfectly fine. And here we go. Look how easy that was. See that? That is what we want. We want to make sure that this plant's completely covered up in the soil. We can do a little tap motion and all that to make sure it's down, but the plant just isn't that big in order to need that. And we are good to go. Very simple steps. So again, what do we use in here? We use a little bit of leca, which you can use perlite. Well, actually, let me break it down to you. You can use three type of mixes, three type of items for a chunky mix, okay? You can use your orchid bark, you can use leca, you can use your perlite. Now, there are several other type of mixes and things that you can use inside that. I'm just giving you the main three ones and they work, okay? So, again, perlite, orchid bark, or leca. You use whatever you want to help make your mix chunky. Chunky, we want airy. Airy, so that way the water can come from the top to the bottom or however way you water your plant. We want to make sure that the water just doesn't sit inside that pot for a very long time, causing stress, root rot, and so forth with your plant, okay? But to make a nice mix, you'll use one of those three. You'll use some indoor pot mix, and you can use some horticulture charcoal, okay? Very, very simple, done. Now, you also, I've talked about before, I do not have a bag of that though. If you go to your local store, I know Ace Hardware store have it, and I've seen them a lot in nurseries, and it's all priced the same price no matter where you go. Sometimes you go into your nurseries, they cost a little bit more. That comes with it. But this right here, I've seen pretty much priced across the board being the same. It is Black Gold. That's the name of the brand, or the name of the brand might be Sun Gold, but it's Black Gold. Either way, you know what it is. You're gonna see Black Gold on the bag in big letters at the top. It's a black bag and it has purple on it. And it will say Orchid Mix, okay? You can use that Orchid Mix straight for your philodendrons. You can use it for your monsteras if you just really too nervous to add stuff to it. I would recommend you add some indoor pot mix to deal with the watering issues because monsteras do like to retain that a little bit longer. But you can go to the store, get some Black Gold Orchid Mix. Straight out the bag, works perfect for philodendrons. I don't know nothing about orchids. I have never grown them before. I just buy the orchid mix and it works great. Now, the next thing that we need to do after you do any type of repotting is that you want to water your plant. And you want to use something, I use Super Thrive for mine. Super Thrive helps reduce the stress when you repot your plant. So I'm going to get me a little watering tray. Right here. Put that here. I have me a little bit of water left over from here. You want to make sure your water is room temperature too, okay? If it's cold, you'll put your plant to shock. Put your little dot in here. Come on, all right. Little goes a long way with this. And it stinks, smells like vinegar, just so you know. Here. Pick it up. And here we go. Now, for demonstration purposes, I'm holding it so that way you can see the water draining from the top to the bottom. That is a fast well draining. That is what you want when you're watering your plants. You do not want something that you keep on watering the plant and nothing's coming out. That means you got some blockage going on, or your plant's too daggone dry. We got to do better, okay? All right. And that is it on that part, guys. Do anybody have any questions or comments? that was what my day was about. I actually did not plan on repotting the plant. I planned on just showing you all what was inside. But it turned into something, so I had fun doing it. Anybody got any plans this weekend? Going to do anything special? I think I'm going to get to the plant nursery this Saturday. And I want to record some stuff. So check this out. I have a drone that I bought 3 years ago. I'm gonna go outside, I'm gonna make content over the summer, springtime. I'm gonna have it floating up so it's following me as I'm going through the park and talking about different types of plants and stuff. I'm gonna tell you what happened. I bought my very first one, right? Flew it and decided I was gonna test fly it in the house. It had a mind of its own. It went up all the way to the top of the ceiling, done, just like that. Luckily enough, I was able to send it back. And I told them exactly what happened in the instructions. I wasn't going to lie about it. I told them, I said, I took it out the box, I turned it on, it lost communication with my cell phone, and went up to the top, snapped and broke. I had a brand new one that was sent to me. They asked for a refund or a replacement. I was like, hell yeah, I'll take the replacement. I still want this thing. So what I did was be smart. This is a Roku drone that I had bought. Very high-tech one. Pretty sure now 3 years have gone by. Mine has probably cost probably $100, if that now. But I went back and bought a very cheap one. It was a Cimerex Cimerex Go. I paid $49 for it. Then, pretty sure now it's probably cheaper than that. Who knows? And that's how I learned how to fly on it. So now I feel comfortable enough to be able to learn how to do it. Now, I will say that Cimerex one that I bought has nothing compared to what this one could do. This one has the full spin, turn, fast, follow you set. I was supposed to be all of that. We'll know when I open it. But anyway, that's what I do want to get into this weekend as well. So I want to go to the plant store, even though I'm not supposed to be buying no plants. I'm supposed to be on a plant ban. And then I want to learn how to fly my drone, which I'll do outside, like at a park or something. I would do it at my house, but my backyard is facing like the back street. I don't want all the neighbors all outside watching me. You know, people get a little weary when they see drones and stuff flying around. Like, are you spying on me or something? So I don't want to spook nobody out. You know, I have a really good, nice relationship with all of my people out here. So I just want to make sure I keep that up. But anyway, guys, with that being said, I appreciate y'all being here. I hope you have a wonderful and safe weekend. And I will see you all on Monday, okay? Y'all take care. Need to repot a pillow. Thanks for the knowledge. I appreciate that, man. I hope you have a good one, okay?